Bam. There we go.
I hate that stupid message. And there's not like a don't ask me this ever again thing at the bottom. So, all right. Welcome to the pod, everybody. It's not always black and white, or it's not all black and white. I always mess that up now at this point.
You do. It's so bad.
It's not great, but it's getting better slowly and surely. Today we have Jared Stevens on the pod. Thank you for joining us, Jared. I will say it's an honor. I have followed you for the most part. If you didn't notice, I had to follow you again on Instagram this morning. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to wrap myself out right there. Welcome to the show. What Ken and I do with this show is we highlight a little bit of just the community, some fitness. We dive into politics every once in a great while. That's kind of more or less depending on the guest. We talk business, talk specifically so far CrossFit business, and just like how gym owners are going through things, especially small business recently. So we'll dive into a little bit of that, and then probably just some personal life questions. I think with the games that you're going through now with the tactical games, I think that's a different thing that like a lot of people have heard of. So hopefully we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But why don't you just go ahead and tell the people about yourself a little bit?
All right. So let's see. I grew up on a farm. That's usually a good starting point.
Don't get Ken started on that.
Well, yeah. So sports were kind of my way off the farm. I was in a really small town school. Let's see. I was homeschooled for most of my schooling. 3.5 years I did in high school playing sports. And then I thought the only way to get out of this town is if I can get a scholarship, because I'm not getting academic scholarships. I really buckled down. I made a deal with my dad. You buy me all the shoes that I need for sports and some protein supplements, and I'll get a scholarship. So he did that, and I worked hard, and I ended up getting a scholarship to come play out in Missouri. And then I played my college career here, went overseas for a couple of years, played, and then I had a Canadian tryout. I got cut, and then I was just done with it. I think I was 25 or 6. And then I knew God had put it on my heart to open a gym when I was 15. I didn't know in what aspect it would be. But I remember I got cut, and I was like, I'm opening a gym. And that's what I did. I went and I did personal training for a year, and then got certified and opened up. And then it's just been a whirlwind really since then. Time's flying.
And you're at CrossFit 417, right? I'm gonna make sure I don't get that wrong.
Yes. So that's like our stage name. Our real name is Performance, and then we've changed it to Team 417 in 2019, I think. So I dropped my affiliation, and then now we have a team that's wanting to go again. So we redid our affiliation. So we kind of are CrossFit 417 again.
Okay. So when you dropped your affiliation, I'm assuming that was what, like the 2020 season?
No, I think I stopped paying them in like 2018-ish.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then they were like really on me about it. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys I don't want to be affiliated.
Why? Why did you make that choice?
So the main reason I affiliated in the first place was 2012, 2011. CrossFit was like blowing up, you know?
So OG stuff.
So just having the name CrossFit, we were getting members just rolling in from Google searches. But then that died off around 17-ish, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw no benefit in having the affiliation because there's really nothing they do for you.
They just take your money.
And like when we're competing, it makes it a little bit easier if we're doing the open and have a team and all that. But other than that, it's like they're just taking $3,000.
Just a swim sliver right off the top. Hedge your venue.
A little bit of your money.
Just a wee bit.
That's wild.
What did you guys end up doing over the course of those few years where you weren't affiliated? Were you still getting people in? Were you still having anybody who wanted to go to the games? They would either just train there and just go somewhere else under the name, or?
So we had a few people doing it. My wife was doing it. So we just videoed all of her stuff and submitted it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like releasing yourself to the wolves, you know, if you video them I've like I've really tried hard to like make sure our standards, our gym are always consistent so that we transfer right from there into a live competition and it doesn't embarrass us or look like trash. But
Yeah.
The online warriors are something else.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, like, okay, so I have a point with that. Like,
go ahead.
So this year they changed it to where you could either do a video, you can have your gym owner verify, or you can have a judge verify. I think that caused a lot of skew because some people were finished. Like, I'll give you the deadlift workout. There's a lot of people I think that aren't finishing that are lying and saying they did. And they're getting their best friend and the gym owner's like, yeah, sure, we'll lie till you get to quarterfinals. And I'm like, as soon as quarterfinals comes around and the skill component comes in with all that other essential loading with heavy weights, you're going to see a whole bunch of people just fall off because I'm a very strong guy. Like I deadlift 700 some odd pounds.
Small flex.
Yeah, small flex. But like I got to the round of like 5 and I finished a round of 5 and I thought I was going to die. Like I was like, oh my God, this is so bad. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life, which is not. But how do you feel about that? Like, what do you think is happening with the way they change everything?
I think that the first 3 weeks don't matter that much long. Like if you're trying to compete, just being in that 10%, right? So redoing the workout isn't really necessary unless you like botch the standard or something. And I do think they're making it all inclusive, right? They want everyone to sign up and pay. And then we move to that next phase, which you'll video all 6 workouts or whatever it is. And it's over 3 days. So it's more realistic. But I think where it really matters, and I do think the process will get the people who need to be at a semifinal there, do double stage. And then that's when you see like what people really have when you line up next to another human being and there's people watching you, you're not in the comfort of your gym. So I like that aspect. I like that there's in-house competition like you're live on a competition floor to make it to the games. I don't think anyone should make it right out of their gym.
Oh,
I think there's too many tiers and too many ways to just kind of bend the.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing that came with like the buddy type deal is, first of all, it takes a very special lack of integrity to even remotely go up to a gym owner and be like, hey man, not only do I want to compete, but I want you to help me get there by any means possible. So, hey, by the way, I'm going to skip this round of like 9 or 10 and we're not going to speak of it. And then it takes a specific kind of gym owner to be like, hey man, like the more guys I have going to like quarterfinals, I can brag. Like, I don't like, that doesn't get you any more money as a gym owner now. So that's the first part of it. The second part of it is there's a lot of people, as many people as there are that like the online coaches and whatnot that want to call people out. I think there are as many specific athletes who are trying and they're doing everything by the book. They're training all year long with that intent in mind. But I think a lot of those people forget that the first round of the Open now, like the way it's not the same as it used to be 3 years ago, where like that mattered, right? And it's like, hey, you should be calling people out. Now it's like, hey, if it wasn't for those pictures that they keep posting of like, or that they did post before the Open started of like what movements were practically going to be available, nobody should really be surprised or like upset, like, hey, somebody's technically cheating right now, or like there's a lot of people out there that aren't giving the right scores. Like, just run your own race and give it 3 weeks. At the end of 3 weeks, you are going to be able to say as many I told you so as I wanted to. As
soon as that quarterfinals comes around, they're like, all right, you got 4 hours. Here's 2 workouts. Go. Like that whole recovery thing's going to kick into play. How fit you actually are is determined by how well you recover. So,
But hey, man, if you just have an analog clock like Jared has behind him and you just start turning that clock backwards and say, hey, man, I don't know, it feels like 5 hours has gone by, but it's only been 2. So I don't know what you guys want from me. My clock, I can't control it. So like at some point, I think that kind of stuff will start to play in where people kind of get ousted regardless. But we're going through like, oh, go ahead.
About it, I don't think, they know they're going to push through. They've done all their training, like barring they don't get sick or something, they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And how many days did you say the quarterfinals is? 3?
Wasn't it 3 or 4 last year?
It was like a weekend.
It's like over a weekend.
That's not bad. I was gonna say if anybody has like Monday through Friday in the Army,
What do you mean for quarterfinals?
yeah. If you had to
Yeah,
do like
yeah,
Monday
yeah.
through Wednesday,
Yeah, so it's like that weekend that you go, so like it's Thursday to Sunday, and you just each day is 2 workouts pretty much, and you just kind of into them.
is that at a location quarterfinals?
You
Oh, okay, okay.
And then I believe that the video and submit every one of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You have to video every one of them, and it has to be uploaded within that time block too. If you are outside of it, you're screwed. Because I had an athlete that he placed top 40 or top 40 for his AGOQ, and we almost didn't get a video in. I had to email across and be like, "Hey, we ran like the internet and hotel went down," and I was like, "Hey, this is what's happened," and they're like, "Okay, we understand." And if I hadn't done that, they would have thrown away his scores.
Are pretty cool if you let them know stuff up front. I have noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for sure, definitely make sure you pay your AT&T or your Verizon bill. Just make sure that's the first thing that gets done. So first topic I wanted to go over being like business, and we've had a few guests on recently that just, whether they're small business owners outside of CrossFit or just like legal matter type stuff, like people have been put into a pinch. Do you guys feel like your gym was put into a pinch with COVID and all the restrictions especially?
So yeah, the whole COVID thing.
This sounds like a touchy subject.
We were shut down for 6 weeks. And I remember I saw this kind of happening, like all the propaganda in China about it, right? And then, so I was like, I didn't know a whole lot about viruses and all that. So I'm like, should I be nervous? You know, the last thing I'd want to do is if it really was something real, like I didn't want to get a bunch of people killed in my gym. So I decided, all right, we'll close the doors. But within 2 weeks, I had so much time. I was researching like crazy. I was researching about viruses, how all of that works.
Mm-hmm.
And nonsense. Like we're going to destroy the economy. And so at the 6 week mark, I had made preparations to open the gym and have people come in the back, and like we were going to run business.
Mm-hmm.
And they lifted it in our city. So
okay,
that luckily our members are super dedicated. I rented out, or I just gave out all the equipment, and then I programmed home workouts, and we only lost one member over that whole thing.
That's really good.
Now, can you say what made that person not want to? Like, did they leave for a certain thing?
I think that they lost their job because of the pandemic.
Oh, fuck.
Well, at least that's better than them like losing belief in their gym or thinking that you guys are doing something hurtful. There was a lot of those. I remember in Colorado, while we were going through it, that as soon as things started to kind of not look correct, and I agree with you. As a public health specialist in the Army, it didn't really take very much for me to understand. I mean, I have 3, maybe 4 months worth of like study time when it comes to public health through the Army. And that's very basically, it's like an accelerated high school class essentially. But even I knew that there was no reason to be wearing the mask, and on Carson that we would be running with the mask on outside 6 feet apart. But they said that when you ran inside, you didn't need a mask.
Yeah.
So ass backwards. It was confusing as hell. But then once you started seeing gyms close and people being like, how dare you think that you're going to get in the back door and then I'm going to let you train? Like Pandora's Box did that a little bit.
Yeah, because
people at Waller were trying to get in the back doors, and Dee had to go through a thing of like, hey, no, like we're not doing this, and like it's super bad for people. So the strain I thought that got put on gyms was something that never really got put into light, especially that dude. I don't know if you guys heard, I think he was in New Jersey. The guy tried to open his CrossFit gym, or even a regular gym, but I'm pretty sure it was a CrossFit gym. He had like $160,000 in fines.
Yeah. He was
at
getting
one point, and that was climbing.
Yeah.
And I think he tried to bring it to the next court level. I don't know where it's at yet, but as far as I know, that bill has not been paid.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't pay it either.
No, I wouldn't. But when they threatened to seize your assets and cut off your family's like lifeline,
it's crazy. Like it's just crazy. There's just so much overreaching going on, and it's like, how far can you push? They push back.
Yeah, it's insane because like it's funny because about to start PA school for epidemiology in August at Anschutz. So like, I've always been curious, or I have a lot of knowledge about statistics and how kind of like the diseases travel across the world and what is good and what's bad. Like the amount of viral load that you needed to get COVID was astronomically high. I would have to be sitting right here next to your face, Jared, and I have to breathe into your mouth to give you COVID. Like
you would need a hock a loogie down.
Yeah, I would need to spit in your mouth to give you, to give you COVID. And like it was, I think from the little bit that I know about how public health works, is it was poorly mismanaged. Like it was mismanaged to an astronomical level. Like, and then they used it to kind of take away some rights.
But it was weird how they specifically went after gyms.
Yeah, but you understand. I think that it was deeper than just going after a gym. I think
of course it was deeper.
Yeah.
Health. That's why everyone was wearing masks. They wanted people to get sick from the things that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you have a mask on that long and you're breathing in your own bacteria, you can get pneumonia. A lot of kids got pneumonia.
I will say this. One positive that came out of this was I'd probably sound like a gross asshole, but I didn't clean my bar that often after using it before. And now I at least think about the amount of sweat I put on things.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a good thing. I mean, I always wash my hands, but I mean, how many of us really like every time you use a dumbbell or a set of weights or even bumper plates, did you think like, oh, but while I did that, I sneezed over here. So maybe.
But that's the thing. That's COVID isn't transmitted through sweat and like bodily fluid.
No, but
just transmitted like through aerosols. Like
no, but it made people look at their hygiene a little bit more.
Well, yeah.
Which I'm not going to say that was a huge problem, but I think everybody kind of became a little bit more aware. Especially like now when I'm in the grocery store and I sneeze, it's like it's silent for like 2-3 seconds. And you're like, oh God.
Everyone hits the
here it comes.
Only it up, so we don't have to worry about it down here.
Because it's not going to come down. We all know that. Science.
Yeah, I mean, how much talking about your immune system? Like, hey, let's eat some vegetables and maybe get some sunlight and go on a brisk walk. That'll
vitamin D.
Not a once did that ever get brought up until I think CNN wrote an article about a month ago. That was like, hey, if people didn't already know this, being fat and eating unhealthy was a bad thing. But hey, we're not body shaming anybody. By the way, if you want to be fat, go ahead and be fat. But it's supposedly not a good thing.
But what do you think about that, Jared? Like, is it preventable? Like, is COVID preventable?
Oh, I thought you were saying fat people.
I'm like, I don't care if it is or not. I'm like, we're gonna get sick. Like, that's just part of it, especially with like spraying everything in the sky, the Roundups everywhere. I mean, every single way you turn, you're getting poisoned by something. Plastic, soy, canola oil. Like, it's just nonstop. So it's like, all right, what we can do is try to focus on getting some healthy foods, right? And keeping our immune system as strong as possible. And I think that's what will actually prevent disease, right? But then if you get it, you're probably going to beat it because you're strong.
And if not, we can tell you how to get strong.
Yes.
Yeah, strong people.
But I mean,
kill.
it wasn't like, it's not like the Black Plague where we can just stay away from rats and nothing happens at that point.
Yeah.
Right? And the other thing was, I think like even Joe Rogan was the one who really came out first and said it was just kind of like, we have not once talked about what a walk a day, like a half-mile walk a day.
30 minutes a day. Like I had a guy that used to come to Pandora's. I'm not going to say his name for his own privacy, but like he was very overweight, and I just started training him, and he was like, I feel like I'm not losing weight. I'm like, well, here's an educational point. What do you think makes you like hold on to like adipose tissue and fat? He's like, oh, eating fat. And I'm like, no, not necessarily. I was like, no, it's sugar, because your body doesn't know what to do with refined sugar. So it stores it as fat because it's so like energy rich. And he was like, wait, man. Really? I was like, for a week, I want you to not eat anything that doesn't come from a fruit or a vegetable or an animal. Like, I don't want you to touch anything outside of that. See what happens. Drink water every day. And I was like, don't even come to the gym. Get up in the morning, go on a 30-minute walk, see how much weight you lose. Man lost 15 pounds in a week. He was like, how did this happen? Yeah,
damn.
Blew his mind. And he was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm like, no. Now you start coming to the gym and doing other things too. We're going to see what that does for you. He was like, man, I haven't been sick in like 3 months. My bowel move's been regular. And like,
Yep.
What the fuck?
Yep.
Just-
You know, what do we learn in school? Absolutely nothing, right?
no, school definitely needs to change around here.
Such a waste of time. I feel like the school system is to teach kids to sit there for 8 to 9 hours, just like they're going to do the rest of their life in their crappy job, hate their life, wait for Friday to come around. I'm like,
Hell yeah.
you're waiting for 2 days out of the week.
Yeah.
It's just sad where we are right now as a society.
Have you guys seen Yellowstone yet? That show?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you guys all the way caught up? I don't want to give anything serious away, but
No.
there's just like one point in the show where Costner looks at, or no, it's not Costner, it's his son Casey, looks at the wife, and they're about to go do like parent teacher stuff and get the kids like some school supplies, and he was like, "What does he need school supplies for? We can just homeschool him right here. Like he's gonna be a rancher. This farm's gonna, or this whole ranch is gonna be his. It's the size of half of the fucking state. He can just be here, and you're the greatest teacher. Like so."
Yep.
You're telling me an English professor at a major university or history, whatever she was, can't teach our son like basic math?
Yeah.
There's almost no reason for like kids to be, I don't want to say there's no reason to go to school, but curriculums need to stop. I don't need to be learning calculus and physics in high school when you could be teaching me how to manage a bank account, how to understand bill pay, and then how to also look at the fact that when you sign your name on a college loan, you can't go bankrupt on that. They will take every dime you have or garnish as much as they want until you are in the grave. And even then, some people, if you have a cosigner, that person is up shit's creek.
Yes.
I think the most beneficial class I had in high school was two. It was my my welding class in high school, it was an elective.
That was a fun class.
And economics. And that dude didn't even teach economics. Mr. Norval taught us about taxes and tax brackets. And I was like, what? This is crazy.
That's what's up. You've been getting a good return for a little while now.
That black and white or the gray?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's like a shameless plug.
Am I gonna push my taxes off till next year, or am I gonna file them all together this year?
Yeah, am I gonna do what is it, a deferment? I'm just deferring my taxes till next year, see what happens.
God. So Jared, as a gym owner and having seen that you kind of maybe not struggled, but you definitely got affected by COVID, what were some of the greatest struggles and the greatest rewards that you've had since owning a gym or doing all of this since you stopped playing sports?
So not counting like the whole 2020 nonsense.
I mean, you can count that.
So I went through a divorce in 2018. It lasted a while. And that was the hardest time, mostly based off no one really knew anything about my relationship, but once it started to go down, like the rumors and the stuff that happened, I lost about 70 members. People that I thought were my close friends never asked questions. They just were like, told me I was a piece of garbage and took off.
Pause. I'm sorry. Did you say 7-0?
Yeah, it was a lot of people. So that was tough. But I always say God makes ugly situations beautiful if you stay faithful with him. And that's definitely what's happened. And I even think like through the whole shutdown, like the 6-week shutdown, I was like upset about it. I was like, just this is ridiculous, right? Like our people aren't. But I will say, like, I feel like our members were a little complacent and not coming as much. And after that 6 weeks, even till today, like people are coming and they're so excited to be there because once you take away, you start to realize like how valuable it really is. So there are positives that came out of all these negative situations, which I'm very thankful for.
I can relate to that because I think 2018 was wrapping up my divorce for the most part, and it was like a really rough time. Like that's when it got like bow got tied on it and all the assets got split up and did all those things. And I mean, I guess I can ask you as like a man of God, what do you think that constitutes like a failure on your part at all? I'm not asking you to get into the nitty gritty, but how do you think that built you up as a man? How do you think that strengthened you?
Yeah. What I took from it is listen to God in the first place. Like I had pretty clear, like you shouldn't be getting married, and I did it anyway. Which stubbornness, it's gotten me in a lot of trouble. I'm pretty stubborn.
I'm right there with you.
Same.
It's like a bull in a china shop if this podcast could be anything.
Yeah.
I was in that relationship for a long time, and I do feel like I don't like starting something and never quitting, right? Like that's one of the only things I've ever quit. But I do feel like my intentions were good. Like I wanted her to be happy, and it was not going to happen with me. And now she seems to be doing great. I'm 1,000 times happier, and it showed me who really was with me and who wasn't, which is a big, like loyalty is like huge.
Yeah. It's like the worst thing that's ever happened to you is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. So like, do you think that is, do you think that's like the worst thing that's ever happened to you?
That's a good question. I don't, but I feel like the accumulation of all those things, right? Like there's multiple things, but if you don't die, I feel like you learn so much, right? Every negative situation, I've learned so much more from my failures and mistakes than I have from my wins.
Yeah. You're sure. Sum total of your life experiences, I guess. I think that's a really easy way to put it.
Did you see my story yesterday? I think it was, Ken. It was the Steve Harvey show or whatever. And some woman had asked him something about like a man that some situation relationship she was in like ended. And he was like, the one thing about loyalty that nobody really understands is loyalty does have an expiration date, but it just depends on who insists on it having an expiration date. Because there's plenty of friends like that we've had. One of them I already mentioned in this podcast. I won't mention her again because I don't think she would want it, but whatever. Yeah. Respectfully, Dee and I aren't friends anymore. And this, Jared, this was my original real CrossFit coach where like when I got to Fort Carson as a soldier, like first day I knew this girl, she gave me a ride back to the barracks, like just a very nice person. And then turned out to like over the course of almost 3 years, become an like insanely close friend. And now I think she was invited to my wedding, same as Ken. And I had known her for like 3 years more than Ken. And it was 2 weeks before the wedding. And she was like, oh, hey, by the way, I have a problem with you, but I'm not going to talk to you about it. And I was like, so you're not coming to the wedding and I paid how much money for you and your date's plate?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Cool.
$100 for your plate because it's pretty nice.
About almost double that. Almost double the plate. Right. That dinner was good. Don't you ever shame that dinner. But when I heard this quote, I was like, God, there are so many people in my life alone that I have cut off just purely. I'm a little bit like that. And it's a little cold, but I've cut off people for less. And when you start to think about actual loyalty and who stuck by you in that kind of a situation and didn't just kind of like fade a little bit or just try to take a step back, there are plenty of people that like the loyalty I had for them was still there, but clearly they had an expiration date and I didn't know it.
Yeah.
So that was something I heard yesterday that moved me a little bit.
Yeah. And I feel like I have a standard of loyalty in my mind, right? Mm-hmm. And then I don't ever explain that to anyone who becomes my friend. So I have the unexpected expectations on them, and of course they're going to let you down. Mm-hmm. So like through this, I've learned that, and I'm like, all right, this is a time to give grace because I want grace to grow up. It's still really hard, right? Because like our standards are always different. And I'm sure if you talk to some of these people that I feel like kind of betrayed me, their story would be very different. So I feel like everyone perceives things differently. And
some people get mad, like when you have high standards like that, some people who like when you or me or even Ken, if you have high standards for whether it's loyalty or just friendship, right? Yeah. Like if I'm going to be friends with somebody, I'm married, like I'm not going to say it. Ken knows the situation. I'm probably about to have a kid, but
yes, you are. That thing's bacon, bro.
Shut up. But now it's like, I don't need any more friends. The keyword being need. Yeah. And if I want to have a new friend, the standard's got to be high. But if you're not willing to meet my standard, well, hey, I mean, that's how much integrity and how much value I place on my life or at the life of my family now. That's something that needs to be talked about. So I guess like hearing that, I mean, that's good on you, man, for being a man of faith and putting that type of responsibility on yourself to see it differently. Sometimes I definitely, that is not me. I'm a little quick on the trigger to get rid of some of that.
Yeah, it's definitely a work in progress. There's days I wake up and I like can get really upset thinking about very specifically like the Noble situation, like stuff like that. And then it's like,
shit. Is there a situation I was going to ask about?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
You can talk. We can bring that up in a minute if you want to get that clear thought out.
Well, I'll just sum it up real quick. So I was with this company for 6 years. They were awesome. They took care of me, great care of my friends, my gym, everything. It was amazing. I sent a DM to someone that I thought we were friends about the vaccine, asking a question. And they screenshotted it, put it on their story and said, sad to see Noble athlete Jared Stevens shaming and bullying me for getting a vaccine. I don't even know this person. So it just looks like I'm some creep dropping in DMs. And all I had asked was, I had seen magnets to their arms. So I said, hey, I asked like, hey, if it's real, would you mind trying? Let me know. Hope you're well, Jared. That was my message.
Okay. So, all right. That's.
Oh my Jesus.
And so I started
start that thought over, Jared.
What's that?
Start that over again, like maybe 10 seconds, because you don't have headphones, your voice doesn't register until later, and it'll get overmasked.
Oh,
yes.
Oh yeah, that person had a lot of followers, right? So when they posted that, I started getting attacked in my DMs like crazy. On my last couple posts, people were blowing up the comment section. Then they went over to Nobles and started blowing theirs up, and then everyone was just like had their pitchforks out and were like, this dude has to be fired, he's a bigot, like all this stuff. It was nuts. But I just was like, okay, whatever. But then the athlete director kept calling me and was like, hey man, just try to work it out. And I was like, okay. So I tried, no response. Then the following day, he called me again and was like, hey, would you please just get a hold of her? I was like, all right, man, I'll give it one more shot. But like, this is ridiculous that we're even feeding into this at all. Like, what that person did was nuts. Like, you know me, I'm not a bully. I ended up getting a hold of the person, had a conversation, post got taken down. And then like 2 hours later, I got fired. It was nuts too, because like 3 days before I got fired, they were telling me like I was a lifer. Like, I don't need a contract. Like, they're keeping me forever. Like, just crazy. This is really crazy. But it just shows like,
bro, I'm never buying another fucking pair of Nobles ever again in my life.
Never ever.
Get the hell out. I mean, I wasn't spending $165 anyways, but
they make like their stuff's cool. It's nice, you know. And honestly, I try to just remember like until that weekend, like these guys took such good care of me. Like,
yeah,
I went to weddings. Like, I thought we were really friends, but I feel like I do a little bit cowardice on their part.
How did you okay, so Mike,
hang on, he kind of said the word she somewhere in there.
Yeah, he did, but I'm not even
I'm not gonna ask you who it is, but Ken, I think you know my position.
Yeah. I'm gonna skate by because I caught that piece too, but that's not for me to bring up because he didn't bring it up. So
no, he didn't. So I'm not going to, but
I'm gonna just ask you this question, man. And this is like, I guess this is more of like a character question. Like, at what point? Okay, so at what point when you were at your most angriest, did you regret even knowing that person or having that person in your life?
Well, yeah, okay. So our friendship was like very surface. So this person competed in CrossFit and
I like that he's choosing his words carefully.
So I let him come and stay at my gym for a week and train and hang out with my second family at the lake and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hung out with this person maybe 2 times outside of the games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we went and I just kind of hung with them. Her husband and her had asked me to be on their bodybuilding team earlier that year before all this stuff happened. So like we had a relationship, right? Was it a deep friendship? No, not at all. But I thought like this person was very outgoing and like had made posts about getting the vaccine and made a bunch of jokes to the comments and was just really open about it, right? So I thought
Kind of like
that's
a rub it in your face situation.
doubt, but I was very wrong. That was the very wrong person to ask that question to, I guess. But I mean, I'm not even really upset at her because like she showed her colors. Like I just know I don't need to be associated with that person at all anymore. I'm much more upset at the people who knew me for 6 years and had spent so much time with me and let cancel culture take me out of there.
But this person,
they were just trying, they're doing what the world wants, right? They've got in line with that. And so that's going, and I'm not going to be on that direction. So I think it was coming.
Yeah, you felt like you were drifting apart. I know. So I know about this situation in a way. So like I kind of like I have my own guesstimate of who this was. It's one of two people, but like I think that person is irrelevant now, and they tried to grab that bandwagon to get some relevancy. So you smile. Don't say yes or no. It's okay.
No, don't even ask who it is. Don't even put that out there.
I'm not gonna ask him who it is. I'm gonna venture as far to ask him is like, did this like make your faith in like humanity kind of dwindle down a little bit? Like two things. One main thing you don't do is you don't fuck with a man's livelihood. You don't fuck with anyone's livelihood. That was your job. So.
And this easily could have just been done behind the scenes.
Yeah, this could have been a conversation, but I think it was like more power grab. But how does it like your faith in humanity for a certain point in that like that situation at that point in time? How did it make you feel about like people?
Yeah, so 2020 really made me understand like how influenced people are by media. This shows the monster that social media has created, right? Like people want attention so badly that they will deface other people and do things that they would never do to you face to face. You know what I'm saying? Like if I that person face to face, I know they would have just gave me an answer and not got all twisted up and acted weird about it. Yeah. So
100%. If you were out in public with them, they would have just been like, ha ha ha.
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hey, the keyboard warriors are the same people that are sitting on the couch telling Patrick Mahomes you shouldn't have been making that throw. Namely me. Although I'm not a keyboard warrior. And they're the same people who are like looking at Matt Fraser or whoever's at the top right now at the games. You're like, oh, how did you miss that clean, bro? Like 15 rounds into like Cindy and some shit. And they're like, oh, what do you mean you can't do that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel like behind the screen, you're not getting it punched in your face. So people are a lot more bold.
Yeah. What did Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson, who was it? It's
Mike Tyson's stupid quote about getting punched in the face.
I mean, you do, but I mean, in general, that whole thing is, you have a plan until you get punched in the face. And it's true.
Yeah, but there's also a thing nowadays where nobody will punch somebody else in the face. Because we're all pretty sure that we're gonna get arrested because someone's calling the cops. Right. There's no more like, hey, you and I have a disagreement. All right, cool. We're going to draw this line in the sand right here. Okay. You're not going to move past it. I'm not going to move past it. But it's going to be a hockey fight. You get to grab me by the collar and we get to swing until this is done. When it's done, you're either right or you're wrong.
Steve, I took leave when my ex-wife cheated on me. I took leave and I flew to Tennessee and I beat the shit out of the dude that did that. I'm putting this on the podcast. Yeah.
Hey, man.
I was in jail for 2 days over the weekend, and I had to get one of my cousins to bail me out.
Who's the UFC fighter who recently just went to jail? He shot somebody who molested his daughter or something like that, but they wouldn't say because they just said relative. But you can't put a minor's name out there like that. So who's it? God damn it, the name's mistake. Damn. But either way, like he pulled up on the dude's car. And unloaded he unloaded 9 rounds into that guy's car because his that guy's mom, who he was shooting at, had a daycare that Velasquez's daughter was at, and her 41-year-old son was just there with all these kids all day long.
Let somebody put their hands on my daughter. I swear to God.
But everybody says that, and even Dana White was like, everybody says if that happened to them, what they would do. Nobody does it, but Kane did it. So we can't be, you can be mad at him for possibly causing harm to other people, because just shooting a gun openly can always inflict more damage than need be. But
I mean, I beat a man's ass for less, but
all right. Well, let's get off this, because now
continue. This is getting aggressive.
we went through the noble section.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you. Go
I
ahead.
have a question. So when you beat that guy, how did he handle it?
Ooh, good question. Good follow up.
Okay, good follow up. I appreciate that. Now he's interviewing me. So when it happened, I blacked out. Like I blacked out. He was on the third story of an apartment building. I went to his door,
Did he
knocked
stay
on his
there?
door. He answered the door. And then from that point, it just went black and red. And that's all I remember. And I remember going downstairs, pulling some type of metal pipe out of the ground and beating the shit out of this dude. He still has a cane today. He still walks with a limp today. He almost died. I almost went to jail for murder, man. It was bad. It was really, really bad. So like,
I wasn't going to ever mess with you anyways, physically, but now.
He didn't press charges. So like, I think he got the point that he kind of earned that one, you know? And the backside of it is my wife at the time, I kind of thought about it and I went, I beat the shit out of this dude. But like, okay, disclaimer, I don't think it's right to hit women at all. Zero. Like, I don't think I'm a very large human being and there's no need for me to put my hands on a woman. But like, I was like, why didn't she get the same treatment he got? Like, what is her consequence supposed to be? I feel like she welcomed that into our household, you know? So,
yeah. I mean, I think women obviously take, like you always see that meme of like men and women when a breakup occurs. It's like the guy goes straight to the gym and just gets super ripped. And girls is like the same timeline. It's like the course of going through actual feelings and grief and stuff like that. And by the time the guy gets to grief, the woman is like healed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the mental grief and like the bearing on your head, like how I went before I met my wife, that last breakup I had was mentally, that shit was rough. That wasn't a divorce, but I felt like a failed person.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you feel? How did you feel, Jared? Like describe your mental state at that point in time. That's really important.
Well, growing up in church, like that, the shame part of it, right, was huge because like through it all, I did like a lot of my own research and like I feel like I got a lot more understanding on it and like, but for some reason the church makes that sound like it's just the ultimate sin, and it's just I don't know. Through that, I kind of started realizing it. I saw my mom go through a divorce and like the church attacked her. And I think that was the hardest part. And then obviously like people were like, I was getting letters and stuff. Like people were sending letters to my mom about it. Like, it was really, really weird.
Jesus, man.
It's like, I never talked about my relationship before. And then I just stayed silent through it because I'm like, anything I'm going to say is just going to make her look like a monster, and that's not like, it's no one else's business. So I just wanted it to be a quiet thing. And so I think like feeling like I backed out on my commitment was hard, and then with the whole church part of it, you know, that was probably the most.
Do you think that if you could go back and do it again, or even now in the present, if somebody was going through the same thing, would you direct them towards a counselor before you directed them to a pastor or a priest, or would you do it the other way around?
Oh,
good question.
I know the answer for me.
This is not a personal affront towards you, Jared. I promise. I'm just feeding the questions as they go. I'm kind of just.
No, this is actually a topic that I didn't think that we would ever get into. But personally, I can say me and the church have a disaffiliation now based on like my years in high school going to a Catholic school. And I guess like now I'd probably lean more Christian than Catholic. But like when I started realizing that like there's money involved. This is a business. Make no mistake about it. And I will say, being somebody who's recently married, not having the church as an issue or just like a topic of discussion around getting married, primo stuff, man. Because my wife and her family are faithful. I have my own way of dealing with it, but at the end of the day, like it felt right and everything felt fine. But like when my cousin got married and I witnessed that, like the priest coming up being like, hey, before we do this whole walkthrough, like we need the whole check. We need all the money in full.
Yeah.
And they were like, What?
But yeah, that's a lot. But yeah, Jared, what would you do? Would you direct them? Which way would you send them first, and why?
Like if a couple, let me set the scenario. So if a couple is about to get divorced,
Yeah.
what would I say they should do?
Yeah. If another couple was going through the same thing you went through, or if like even you, what would if you could do anything differently, what would you have done?
So I would have not gotten married.
Same. Okay.
But what I did do is like, I was like, all right, we have all these problems, right, that aren't being dealt with. So I sat her down one day and I said, hey, 5 things are destroying us, and like we're not going to make it if we don't deal with them. And I said, I'm planning on getting personal counseling. If you want to do the same, cool. And then once we feel like we're at a spot where we've like taken care of our own nonsense, like let's get together and like see a counselor together. And it was really wild because like I'm saying all this stuff, right? She's not talking at all. And she just says, sounds like maybe you should move out. And I'm like, well, that's not what I was thinking. But so I did that. And then from there, I went to saw a counselor. And honestly, like I was explaining all the stuff that's going on. And like, he's like starting to be like, yeah, my relationship has some of that. And like this dude was getting so depressed. I'm like, he's going to end up leaving his wife. I'm like, I can't keep talking to this guy. So I finished that session and I'm like, I don't know if I should go back. Like the guy just literally got so sad by the end of it. And then my ex somehow scheduled with the same guy. And it's like, you can't have the same counselor when you're dealing with your own stuff. So then I just back. And then during that time, like she was saying all kinds of crazy stuff. And like, it just got so bad. I was like, all right, this is done.
That was like, that experience reminds me of when I was like going through all my VA claims, like disability, PTSD and all that. And I'm talking to this lady about the things that happened in Afghanistan, and she just cried. She just started crying. God. No, I'm being legitimately serious. Like I talked to her, I was like, yeah, I had to do the XYZ. This is what happened. Like it was one of the hardest times of my life. And I'm like tearing up a little bit, and she's just sobbing. And I'm like, I can't, I need you to be a better sponge right now.
I need an adult right now.
I need an adult to help me right now. I know it's hard to hear, but I have to live with these images in my brain every day. So like, I agree with you, Jared. Like going to a counselor has its like good points and good kind of like benefits. And going to a priest, you know, having a subjective view is more of like, it has its benefits too, but in the same turn of the coin, like same situation with me, I did the same thing. And my ex kept saying that, oh, they always agree with you. Why are they always agreeing with you? I'm like, because I'm being honest. I know I have problems, you know, and this is what's going on. This is where I could improve. So like, that was a downfall of my relationship, but it happened way before then with the infidelity, and I just couldn't get over it. But
good grief.
Not to get into your personal stuff. Changing
we definitely just did.
Yeah, we did. Change it. Go ahead, Jared.
Last thing, like through it all, what I feel like I've come to understand is like, if you're not with the right person, it's not going to be a fruitful marriage, right? I feel like a lot of in the Christian community, especially, it's like they literally, couples can't stand each other, but they stick it out. You know, we're sticking it out. I'm like,
got to do it for the gram.
Honorable marriage. Hang on, I just got a call. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good, man.
Hey, man, you got to do it for the gram these days.
Yeah. I'm like, marrying your best friend, I think, is a huge deal, right? You should want to be around that person all the time. And that shouldn't fade after the first few months. I think like interest, you need to be doing stuff together.
Unconditional.
Being pleasant, you know, like no tone, no game. So like when I got together with Christine, like the first thing I said is like, hey, I don't want to play any games. Like, we're not gonna do silent treatments. We're not doing nothing. Like if we have a problem, we're just gonna deal with it and move on.
Straight.
And it's been like, I've been with her for 3 years, and it's just been such a blessing. Honestly, it's like we're best friends. Like we have so much fun together. We do so many things together.
Yeah.
And
well, you're clearly looking at her, so go ahead and tell her that we said hi.
Yeah, hi, Christine. But yeah, you like what happened is, and I'm gonna sum this portion of the podcast kind of up, is like through all like the failures and faults that all three of us have had, like it's something called resilience. you know, you gone through all those fucked up failures, all those really shitty things, and you have something to compare what's happening right now to something worse. Like every time I'm going through a hard workout and I'm like, man, this sucks, I go, oh, that other thing when I was in mountain phase at ranger school is fucking horrible. Like nothing's worse than that. I was really cold. Okay, cool.
That's what you think about?
Yeah, that's what I think about. I literally think about it being 20 degrees outside and I'm soaking wet from the snow melting onto my skin and uniform, then my uniform freezes. And I'm just bitterly
I just
cold.
think about how much it sucks. I just dive farther into that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's resiliency, and like there's no reason, there's no short path to getting to where you've gotten to, or where Steve's gotten to, or where I've kind of gotten to. I kind of put myself down on the totem pole, but like there's no way to get to those points without all that bullshit that happened before.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
So while we'll turn tones here real quick, but you know, people don't really pay us to be on the air or to do any of this stuff, but there is a company that does sponsor this podcast, and it's not a joke.
There's
okay,
2 of them.
Well, that's technically true. Maybe even 3, but that's borderline, right?
Potentially.
So, Jared, real quick flex. We're gonna flex out Goodr.com at goodr.com. Okay, these are premium sunglasses for a fraction of the price that most people are getting them for. Jared, I don't know. Have you heard of Goodr yet?
No.
Well, you have now. Okay.
Damn,
I've been rocking these on the last like 2 or 3 podcasts. I think this might be my shtick. I don't know, but we'll keep it up for a little bit. Ken's got to send me more sunglasses now.
I do.
And you know what, Jared, if you want, what we can do is we could probably send you a pair or 2 if you want to rock them out. They have a whole bunch of different versions. I have, what do I have on? Whiskey Shots with Satan, or no, that's these. And then Bourbon Burpees. So I really like these sunglasses. I've been telling people that there's no point in rocking like the Nike sunglasses or the Oakleys anymore, because you're spending like minimum $120, $130 for most of them. Goodr has well-priced sunglasses somewhere from $35 to $45. And I think there are even some at $25, depending on what style you're going for. So they're reliable, they're resistant. I've used them now, Ken, with running, lifting, and driving. They are phenomenal. They're all, well, I say driving because they're polarized. So it makes a difference in driving, right? But they have the breathability on the sides. They have that stick to the back of the side of the head, right, where you need them, so that when you're weightlifting, if you're doing it outside, it feels terrific. The sunglasses stay on, they don't drop. I don't know if you guys have seen that video of the guy doing the sandbag toss. And
he crushes
the sandbag up
glasses.
and his sunglasses fly backwards. And he's like, yes, hit his mark. As soon as the bag drops, goes right on the pair of Oakley sunglasses.
Crushes them.
And it's like,
but the funny thing about that is if you do that with Goodr sunglasses, they'll just replace them for free.
oh, really? I didn't know about this.
Yeah,
Do tell.
yeah,
Is that a warranty?
Yeah, as a warranty, it's a lifetime warranty. So if you break them, they're gonna, you say, hey, I was lifting up 500 pounds on a deadlift, my sunglasses fell off and they got crushed. They'll go, okay, send us a picture of them. Here's another pair in the mail.
So if I break it, they buy it?
Pretty much.
Oof, that's a good deal.
How are they with like fogging up?
Oh, they're really good.
So now I live in Texas, so technically fog isn't something I'm truly worried about all the time, but I have not had them fog up one time.
Yeah, I rode my bike to the mailbox, my motorcycle to the mailbox and back, no fog. I ran in the other day, no fog.
Do we have a promo code yet? I'm gonna harass the shit.
So funny story, they're doing a lot of stuff with the CrossFit Games right now and semifinals. So like the marketing guys, like, I'm just super busy. Just give me a minute. I'll get it all to you. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna pressure you. Just you keep sending sunglasses. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Well, God damn it. Tell him we have Jared Stevens on the podcast and man needs a pair of sunglasses.
I will. Right? I'll send them some like leprechaun ones.
When they send all of those sunglasses to you, Jared, just send me like 2 of them so I can get my fix. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
so shooting, because I am looking for some glasses for shooting.
I would say there's probably minimum 2 or 3 different styles that would be good for shooting. But like if you're looking for like actual ballistic eye pro, like some army looking stuff, I don't think they have those yet.
Yeah, they don't have Z87 like protection on them. They just don't. You're going to need that in case something blows back at you.
But then again, there are guys in special forces groups that wear some fucking bullshit sunglasses to the range, and I don't think that they have a problem with it.
Dude, I was in Honduras when I was at 160th, and I was wearing just regular old sunglasses to like to go do stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna lose my
I wore
shit.
my Operation Blackouts the other day to land nav, and somebody came up to me and they're like, "You do know those are against regulations, right?" I was like, "They're all black," and they're like, "Yeah, but like they're fashionable." I was like, "No, you think they're fashionable.
It's your opinion.
I think they're functional." So go back and read that reg, and we'll have a discussion in a little bit. And then I took my Jeep off into the land nav course, and I did Jeep things. And I really freaked out my wife because I came home and I was like, I did some off-roading in our Grand Cherokee, which is the one of the two that we have. We have a Compass and then a Grand Cherokee, and the Compass is 4x4. The Grand Cherokee is like the performance style Laredo, so it's 4x2. It still did well. It did some off-terrain or heavy terrain type stuff, but then there was like a rock set like in the road that was going up a hill, and the rock set comes off the ground about 2 feet. So it's not just one single rock; it's like a whole set. I was
You're not gonna make it up there.
I was like, nah, dude. If I flip this Jeep on an Army land nav course on base, and then have the radio back, like roll over, and then be like, what the is he talking about? We don't have any vehicles out here. And he's like, oh, it's just Sergeant Holt and his designer sunglasses flipping his personal vehicle.
Jesus Christ. We also have Hero Barbell too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So, Jared, I don't know if you have had any run-ins with Hero Barbell yet, but my gym just ordered 6 of them, and I will likely be ordering one. Ken, you also have to order me one as well.
Jesus Christ.
But Hero Barbell is a company that we just had on the podcast. What was it, last week?
Yeah, last episode. Yeah. Yeah,
Jared, if you want, go ahead, take a look at that podcast. Actually, we never even asked if you had watched one of these before.
Just said, hey, you want to talk?
No. But we appreciate you being here anyways. But yeah, they're a company out of, I believe, San Diego, California now.
Yeah.
One of the guys is a Marine pilot. The other guy's an entrepreneur. And
that's only half of it.
That is only half of it. There's 2 other men involved that we did not get to interview or have the pleasure to. But they came out with these really good barbells that our gym recently got on a sale. And to be honest with you,
that's amazing.
I want to say 2/3 really the price of Rogue barbells.
Dude, $300 for a barbell that spins faster than the Rogue operator bar that I got. And I was in the gym Sunday, and it was the first day I lifted with it. I was able to squat jerk with it. And legitimately, you're doing a Metcon. I was doing 185 snatches yesterday. Snatch, it hits the ground. It doesn't bounce. It just boop, dead stop. And I'm like, that's beautiful.
It takes a bump regardless of the plates that you have on very well.
Yeah.
So is it a bar or is it a bushing bar?
Say that again. I didn't catch you.
Is it a bearing bar or bushing?
Oh, it's a bearing bar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. That thing spins.
And then what's the covering on it? It starts with a C.
Oh, Cerakote?
Yeah, Cerakote color covering. They have them in, I believe, men's. They have them in blue, red, chrome, gray, and then I want to say like an army green-esque color.
Yeah, OD green.
And then women's, they have pink, purple, and I think baby blue.
Yeah.
Really right. Nice. And then what's her name on Mayhem? Is one of their star athletes.
Nistler. Andrea Nistler. Yeah.
Andrea.
So they have a really good team over there. They were really good guys. They came on. They gave us the promo code for us. Ken, do you remember exactly what that was?
It's black. It's in the link in the description of our I'm gonna put it inside of the description of the podcast, and it's also on the Instagram page. It saves everybody 10%, so that covers your shipping.
Which is very important on heavy pieces of equipment like that.
But the even better thing is, how they're doing this whole, made in America thing with the government. They legitimately make everything here in America, and it's only $300. So I'm looking at a bar right now. It's $269 for a base bar with no fancy things on it, and it's made in Ontario, California. Yeah, Ontario, California. And I ordered it. It took 4 days to get here. It took 4 days, and that counts the weekend. So honestly, it would take them like 3 days to get you a bar.
Nice. Yeah, because I'm new. Jim. I'll look into them. What's the name of it?
Hero
Barbell. Yeah.
I'm sticking this. Yeah.
And then if you just look back at our Instagram page, and then you can click on their link and they have this stuff in the bio and all that.
Cool.
And then if you want, maybe if we need to, we can give him our promo code so you can get multiple. Because if you're ordering some, I'm assuming you're not just ordering one.
Yeah. Like a bulk.
No, but they're super durable, and our athletes have been using them. We have those. Do you have the metal clips on your rig? Not the metal clips at the end, but the horseshoe. Yeah, the L.
Yeah.
You may just watch out for those if you get the specific color ones. If those aren't if they don't have something cushioned for the bar, it may rub off some of the paint. Yeah. But I mean, if you're not doing that, then you're perfectly fine. But all right, so we'll get back now that we've addressed all the people that put this shit show on the air.
Maybe you had 3.
Oh, well, so I hate using this fucking term. I absolutely hate it. The word ambassador kills me.
For him.
But I reached out to Airwave after I went to the Rogue Invitational. And for the life of me, I wish I knew this girl's name. But I just went over. My wife and all of our friends were just eating lunch. And I saw the Airwave thing. And I'd seen Rich Froning obviously using it for a while. I just went over and I was like, hey, give me the elevator pitch on this. She gave me the best 30-second elevator pitch I've ever had in my entire life. And then she goes, are you military? And I said, you know what? I'm hesitant to answer that most times, but yes. What do you got for me? And she was like, you get a discount, sir. And I said, well, shit. You sold me 7 days to Sunday. Fine. What do you got? And ever since then, I think that was like November timeframe, October-ish.
Yeah.
I've been using it literally at PT in the morning with the Army. I'll wear it while I'm running just to have something to either play with in my mouth. But for the most part, it gives me at least decent breathing cadence for me. And then weightlifting, I never really grinded my teeth, but something to bite down on when you're coming out of heavy lifts, especially a solid clean.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel it as much with a snatch, but a solid clean to just bite down on something and still be able to breathe is phenomenal to me. So Airwave, technically I'm an ambassador. They haven't reached back out after I sent them a message. So this ambassador is not a happy camper.
It's kind of funny how that's the same thing with Victory Grips. You message them all these messages, and I just messaged them once, and then they were like, Vic was like, "Oh, yo, what's up, man?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're on a podcast." He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, cool, bro.
Black dude dyes his hair blonde one fucking time, and he gets all the messages now. But you know what? Jared answered me, so that's all that matters on this episode.
Yeah, Jared's way bigger than me. But yeah, and
Airwave, use promo code or ambassador code. I'm gonna call it that until they answer me back. SH10, that's Sierra Hotel 10. That should save you 10% off and give me a small commission on the probably $4 that I'll earn. But
he sounds so defeated.
You know what, man? I do, especially because Hayes and Jalen both, they got somebody to send them a belt, and Modballs gave them all this other. You got a belt too?
Blitzbelt sends me belts all the time, man.
Is it because I'm white and I'm not that strong?
You clean 400 pounds one time, everyone goes, "Oh my god!" and they just start sending you shit.
I should have done better on those Warrior Fitness team workouts.
You really should have.
Good Jesus.
But yeah, I don't want to take up all of Jared's time, but yeah, we got a lot of people that we need to put into like our description for like Coast. I got Serious Performance too with Jeff Evans, and it's just pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time you use my code, it sends. Say that again.
I used to host a competition, 2012, 13, 14, and Jeff came up for 2 of those years.
Dang, it's a small world.
Jeff, that dude.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He helped Hayes and Jalen get to the fittest experience. Like he did a lot to like fund them to get there, and like he's been a big help. But yeah, I'm going to Boston pretty soon, hopefully. But
tell him he's not welcome on this podcast at the moment. He didn't get the invite.
I forgot to schedule Jeff. But yeah, anyways, moving on.
Now I gotta face that music.
Why the transition from CrossFit to tactical games, Jared?
So I'd gone individual 12, 13, 14 and barely missed the games. Then team 15, 16, 17, 18. And we were trying in 19, but the team dismantled. And then I had no desire to go individual. That's like a whole nother level of just psychoticness that I was over. So I was kind of just staying fit, trying to stay jacked. And then I've always loved guns, kind of prep. I'm a little bit of a prepper. And so
As long as you're not a 3%er, we're good.
What's that?
I said, as long as you're not a 3%er, then we're good.
Yeah. So I don't know, love shooting. I was going to do it anyway. I've been training. So then I saw Heppner was doing the tactical games and well, so looked into it a little bit, went up, shot with him some. And then, yeah, I just decided like, this would be a good avenue because I'm going to be shooting anyway. I'm going to be working out anyway. So go do that. Hopefully I can get an ammo sponsor. That'd be sick.
Well, we're a little short on those. Maybe if you call the U.S. Army, we can help you out.
Just
Lord knows you probably shoot better than a lot of our soldiers.
Oh yeah.
It'd be money well spent. So when you went to Heppner's house, did you get to see his new place?
Yes, it's amazing.
That place looks fucking awesome.
It
So
does.
cool. Like he'll doors on either side of his barn and shoot to his targets on the backside. Yeah. So he doesn't let anyone.
His wife's got to be just holding her breath, make sure he doesn't miss.
I don't know. They seem like they get along great. She's just like, yeah, he's going to do his stuff.
Now, do they have like the living situation in that same barn?
No. So they had the house that was there was pretty old, but they remodeled it. It's pretty small. And then they're building all the trees. I think he has like 60 acres or something. He's
a winery guy, isn't he? A vineyard?
Hemp?
Yeah, I thought his no, not hemp, vineyard.
So his old property had those, and he would just kind of just run it, and then I ended up just mowing them all down. I could be wrong, but
and then he sold that property to go to this new one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Damn.
I mean,
I remember seeing his YouTube channel. He was remodeling the clown house, is what he called it, because it had the clown stuff on it.
He's and like when we went up there, because me and Sam Dancer went up because Sam's wanting to do tactical games too. And
my next two questions.
I think Jacob shot his gun one time. The entire rest of the time, he was just giving us stuff, setting us up. He had already had everything prepared for the day. I mean, he like was a complete servant. It was really cool seeing him like pour into other people. And like I'm gonna go try to take his podium spot, right? Like, but he knows that, welcomes it. That's just what I love about that guy.
You just have to get a corgi and then get it to be really, really big so that you can bring it and have a bigger corgi.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, Jacob's got like a fallback plan. He's an electrical and computer engineer, and he worked a lot for Push Press, and he created a lot of crap for Push Press, and now he's got his own company. And I'm pretty sure he's okay with having some competition at the top, you know?
Well, that's how you also grow the sport. Is if it's going to be a sport, you have to grow it.
Like how many people really heard about it before Heppner started doing it and just blowing it up? And now he's like involved with them. I think he helps with programming and stuff, which is really cool.
And then there's Jim Hensel now that we recently talked to. Hopefully we'll get him on the pod here later this month. Have you done anything with him yet? Or have you followed him getting in that?
I don't know who that is.
The Mayhem Mindset guy, the guy who works with Rich.
Yeah.
The older gentleman, Jim. If you haven't heard of him yet, definitely.
I'm terrible with names.
Oh, okay. I mean,
wait, Christine said we've met him.
I'm a face guy.
Me too. But we'll have him on later on in the month. But if you want to check that episode out after it drops, that'd be probably a good thing for you guys to link up. He's a little bit older. I don't know if you guys have age brackets or not.
Oh yeah, this guy.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, this guy.
Yeah, he's
like, cool. He's gonna be like, yeah, I beat his ass in like 3 events.
Yikes.
Training with Rich don't mean shit.
Jesus, man, you're
so like give us like a quick rundown of like some of the events that you've liked so far with that, because I know for like Ken and I, we've both done stress shoots with the Army, whether it's be like ruck a few miles with your rifle and then you get to a spot and you've done it. I did it in a few competitions where it's just throw your kit on, run a mile down and back, come back, and then you're going to shoot whatever target we say.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very instantaneous. So like, that's the closest I've ever gotten to the tactical game. So like, what are you guys getting into?
So what I've been doing is, like, for instance, last night I had a couple guys come in. We did like bamboo overhead carries and rings. And then you would drop right into pistol draw, mag changes. Then we moved on to like farmer's carries with planks and stuff like that, just kind of getting a little bit of stress and dry fire. And then I've been dry fire every day. But then on Sundays, we have, I think, 10 guys in this group. And usually about 6 to 8 of us will show up every time. And we do, I guess, more like unit tactic training stuff. But there's a lot of running, sprinting. We'll bring out sleds and like do, like a couple weeks ago, we did a 70-pound kettlebell, dragging a sled with all of our gear, like full kit. And then would do that with shooting. And I don't know, just like, one of the worst ones I've done. This one was like, I didn't think it would be this bad, but you have a 3rd round mag. We had I think a barrel over here and something else 30 feet away. So you would run across, shoot right, run across, switch over to your left, shoot. And we're shooting maybe like 30 yards or so, 40 yards on target. And then you keep going until your mag runs out. And it's a little bit muddy. This was like, there's stuff firing all over the place. It was nuts. It was like one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Let me tell you what that would be called in the Army. It'd be called harassment.
Yeah,
that would be called
hazing.
overtraining, hazing.
Yeah.
That reminds me of baseball when we used to do that with like diving for ground balls. And like coaches would start hitting them to the left and they hit them back to the right and so on and so forth. We'd have kids like diving so many times they'd come up with like bloody knees. Yes. That sounds intense.
It was brutal. But yeah, that was one.
Jesus.
We've been doing like stuff that we probably won't do tactical games, but I just think like I would rather train for being able to protect my family. And, you know, if I ever needed to go do something, I want to be ready for that. And then kind of learn the tactical game stuff as I go. Cause it's actually kind of vague what the events are, honestly. Like I've looked at videos trying to like discern what's going on, but the camera's always jumping around. And so Heppner's got a pretty good lie on it. I'm supposed to head up there here pretty soon and train with him again. So I don't know. I'm just trying to get my heart rate and my grip blown out and then try to hit something.
Dude, that's pretty cool. I had the opportunity when I was in the Army to do Griffin Group, and that is some real crazy crap. Like imagine the stuff John Wick, and you're doing that. Like they like close quarters, like not even close quarters called a shooter's workspace. So you just work mainly within the 2 feet of your body. And you're sitting here like clearing through a room and you're like, okay, this dude's grabbed me by the throat. What do I do now? And change mag, do this, pull out knife, bam, you know, things like that. And the driving, like defensive and offensive for Griffin Group. And it is stressful. It's hard.
Yeah. Love to try that out.
Yeah.
Being able to essentially do kung fu while you have a gun in your hand.
Pretty much. Yeah.
You don't need any finishing move because it's just a cap straight to the face.
It's kind of weird because most of it is like jujitsu based. So you space in jujitsu and kind of like just getting like positive control of a person and your firearm. And then you like eliminate the threat, move on to the next thing. Okay, here they're gonna have you do like legit. They had us do 100 burpees in our kit in a hallway, and it was so hot, and it was Connexes, and I'm just like, it's so bad. And then you go in and clear the next room, and you're like, I'm gonna vomit. So it's all great.
Nah, sorry, much as I'm in for fitness, that I'm good. All right, so I think one of our last few topics, because like we've covered all of this stuff. This is a question I got to ask because we brought up Sam Dancer, and I think Sam Dancer was one of the coolest dudes. I don't want to say I'm ashamed, but like I am really, God, the word disappointment also comes up bad. I'm disappointed. I haven't seen him very much in a whole lot of things, and I know I'm sure he's probably a really busy guy, but he was just a character that I really love to watch, whether it's like through YouTube channels and all that kind of stuff. He looked like he was trailblazing the entire like my own path thing. People were following it. It seemed really awesome. I gotta know, are you guys banana hammock or swim shorts? And is that just for like comfort or is that for the quad show?
That's a good question. Yeah, I started wearing a Speedo when I was over in Europe. And then I met Sam years after that, and he was a banana hammock guy. So I don't know. It was like two magnets, I guess. But yeah, Sam's one of my best friends. Super cool guy. Freaky strong. It's freaky strong, but yet can run like a 540 mile. He doesn't make sense, honestly.
Dude,
I think
lugging tree trunks like that.
Yeah, I mean, he front squatted 500 something pounds. Like the dude's a freak.
Good.
And like
Jesus.
really blind. Like my eyes are 2015, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And 2020, I believe, is like good or perfect or whatever they say.
Yeah.
2,500 or no, 2,600. That's what his eyes are. So like
what?
For the first few years, friends, and I'd see him at a competition, he wouldn't even know who I was until I was within like 12 feet of him. And then he said he just started like understanding like my shape and stuff. Like that's how bad his eyesight is.
Jesus Christ. He needs fucking God. PRK, man.
I remember
an incredible shot. I don't know how he does it. Like he borrows I have an AR with iron sights, so I'll let him borrow for shooting and like moving around barrels and stuff. And the dude's just clanging. I don't get it. He's just good.
I'm surprised he would pick up a gun.
But he can see it.
There are people that get out of the army for a medical discharge with better eyesight.
I don't know.
Jesus.
We really are recruiting the wrong people. Good thing we came up with an army fitness team.
Yeah.
We're going to get the Sam Dancer in the world.
Bring him on.
Or have Jared just join the army and he's like, I'm going to do the fitness
No,
team.
we already talked about this, Ken. We cannot have elite athletes joining the army after their success. Then it just makes us look like noble.
Oh, nice. I like what you did there.
I mean, so Ken and I had this conversation with two of our buddies that are going to end up on the Army's CrossFit team.
Yeah.
And one of them was like, hey, like the object is to go out and get those other people in the community that are fitness enthusiasts, but also like get those better athletes, get that better like genome of people out of the populace. And one of them was like, well, I mean, what if we got one of Noah Olson's friends who was going through like some thing where he may have enlisted, and I was like, no offense, pardon my French, but fuck that dude. We don't want people who are already substantial athletes. I'm not gonna go recruit like LeBron's son. No. Because LeBron's son is not going to serve the Army worth a crap, even if he could play basketball on an Army team. There's no point. No, that's the same reason why Joe Namath, or no, it was Joe Montana, I think. One of them was in the Naval Academy. I think it was Joe Montana. And he forego his service. There's a very well-known quarterback back in the day. I'm pretty sure it was him. Or no, maybe it was the guy for the Cowboys. That's who it was.
Move on, Steve. Move on,
I'm not
Steve.
a Cowboys.
Move on.
Whoever the Cowboys quarterback was back in the day.
Troy?
No, not Troy Aikman. Before him, Staubach.
Oh yeah.
Staubach. He was in the Navy. That one I know. I'm getting that right. And he forego his naval service because they're like, man, you're not going to do anything for us. At some point, somebody's going to be able to come in 4 years from now, steal you away, and your service will have meant nothing. No offense. I think the Army learned their lesson with Elvis Presley when we tried to get him in, and he just gave soldiers his uniform and extra money out of his earnings. And just said, piss off to the war. I'm not going to fight that. Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. So we were talking about it, and I don't think that any of that stuff is necessary. I think plenty of these guys. Like the tactical game sounds like a cool thing. I wonder personally if it'll ever really get off the ground to that point. But I mean, like, I think if Rogue were to get involved with it, it would probably be something that takes off. Like they have at the Invitational, they had the Scotland high games and whatnot. Like there are people going all the way to Ohio just to compete in that.
Yeah.
there's a decent price purse for something like that.
And I
So
feel like the hardest part is getting it exciting enough for spectators, right? Because you want people buying the merchandise, you want people supporting it. How do you get them involved? Because if there's no real following other than the people that are doing it, where's the money going to come from?
Yeah.
So like how they address.
I do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one less person in the CrossFit space for me. So
no, fuck you. I'm not that good at CrossFit. I'm all right.
You shut the fuck up.
I'm all right.
You're super good at this. So one of my last few questions was going to be.
You get one more question after this, Steve. That's it.
I only get one. God damn.
Yeah, you only get one more.
Fair. So like we talked about Noble. What I was gonna ask you is where, when, how did you end up finding that company? And I don't know if you have any other affiliations with new companies, if you started any new ones. So I guess more or less we could start with the Noble thing, but I just kind of wanted to get your business perspective on what you've been able to do since you have had moderate success in the sport compared to most people.
Yeah. So Noble, I saw their shoes online on Instagram and bought a pair before they ever launched. They were so because they just looked different. And I thought, oh, those are cool. I'll try them out. But then I think it took like 6 months to even get the shoes. Like it was taking forever. So during their athlete director had went to high school with a girl that was on my team in 2015. And somehow they connected, and the owner, Michael, came down to Missouri to do a video shoot and stuff of us before, I think it was before even regionals. We had qualified for regionals. And during that time, he came down, videoed us. I think that's how it went. It might've been right after regionals, but gave us a bunch of gear. So I actually got shoes before the ones I bought. They brought some down and gave them to me. And then him and I had went out, had some ice cream after the shoot. And I could tell by the way he was talking, like, I remember thinking like, this guy's going to sign me. And then called a month later and was like, hey, we want to sign you before the games. And I was like, super awesome. I would prefer to wait until after the games to do it, just so it's not distracting for what we're doing. And they were cool with that. So then right after the games, they signed me, and then it just grew and grew and grew from there.
And then as somebody who's behind the scenes and as an athlete, did they always have like the aspirations of getting to where they are today as like a title sponsor?
I don't know if they did. I remember they were kind of like, hey, we want to be like Lulu, but bigger. And I don't know, they saying they like different. They want to do it right. That was kind of the way they were talking. Like their first campaign was David, not Goliath. Right. Mm-hmm. So like, you know, take care of the little man or whatever. Yeah. Things might have changed along the way. I don't know. But so as far as that, I've had a few companies that have shown interest. Born Primitive was a company that talked to me quite a bit, gave me a bunch of stuff. But then they ended up signing. It just wasn't going to work out. Then Bear Complex, like I've been friends with those guys since 2015, and they kind of talked to me about some stuff they want to do. And Go Ruck, I actually have a meeting with Go Ruck tomorrow to kind of like finalize the deal. So
that's good.
That I feel like that's going to line up with a lot more
of what you're trying to do.
Yeah. You know, like I don't want to be in line with what culture is really pushing, because it's all just about destruction and, I don't know, self-absorbed stuff. And I think that Go Ruck, they support a lot of cool things. They do a lot of cool stuff. They make really, really tough gear. So I've been doing their stuff since August, and I love it. And so I'm hoping that will be a really fruitful relationship between the two of us.
Well, that's awesome, man. I think you and I are, maybe even Ken, I think Ken's probably on the same wavelength as me. I think society right now is like, my wife makes fun of me. She calls me a brand whore all the time. I'd rather buy Yeti cups than buy, I don't know, like any of the off-brand stuff, right? But I do feel the sense that there are some people that are like, oh, you don't have this. So like you haven't made it yet. And there are even people that I've seen in like local gyms where they're like, well, you don't have a pair of Nobles yet? I guess your open score must not be that good or something, right? There's almost like an attitude to some of these brands. And I've even seen it in my gym recently where they're like, well, if you don't have all the stuff, you can't do the movements. Like there's a lot of people, I'm not saying people actually go about it in this way, but I'm saying like, the people who they've done like one open or they haven't even done an open yet. And they have the backpack, the belt, the grips, the lifters, the knee sleeves, the tape, all the different sponsored stuff. And then when it comes down to doing the workout, they're like, I'm just not that good.
Soft,
like, well, that wasn't the problem here.
Like, no shit.
The problem was you had to have all that. So I think I feel you a lot on this, and hopefully you do get a good company that works for you and works alongside that. I think speaking for Ken and I hope you find a lot of success in this newfound sport. I think you, Heppner, Sam Dancer, that'd be a good trio to start off a podium. So
that'd be sick.
That would be. Ken, do you have anything else?
Not really. I mean, I really, it's kind of like everybody we talk to, I want to see everybody succeed. Like there's so much stuff, there's so much money, there's so much opportunity out there that there's no reason. It's not a zero-sum game. Like you're not going to lose. I'm not going to lose because you gain something. So like the point of this podcast, we started off like, or we still are at a stage of like, it's just fun.
Infinity.
We just want to talk to interesting people. Like I didn't know who you were until Steve sent me your name, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I started doing some reading. I was like, "Holy shit, this guy's pretty cool."
It's been around a hot minute.
It's like I want to be him. This is great. Like if I had a father figure, this would be him. But yeah, like we really do want to see you succeed. If there's anything that we can do to help you. Like
send you some gooder sunglasses.
Yeah, we're gonna see some sunglasses. I've mailed out like 4 pair over the past weeks.
I still haven't gotten my new ones.
I need to send you. Oh yeah, just wear them and take a picture, man, and just tag us. We'll be happy.
Yeah, whatever we can do to help you out. If you ever want to come back on the podcast, if you can like, subscribe, follow, maybe.
Yeah,
I know you're a busy man, right?
You're busy.
But we'll do whatever we can to help you guys out. We're about promoting some of the smaller stuff that people don't focus on a lot. So
cool.
Maybe when this blows up, and maybe who knows, right?
Yeah,
blow up, and we're at the CrossFit Games doing a live show. We'll have you on.
Awesome. Will you guys have like time markers of like subjects that we talked about?
I can cut it if you want some certain topics. I can cut them and put them in there. Put them and send them to you if you want.
I was just thinking because I plan on, if you guys are cool with it, I'll take this podcast and post it on my socials. So that way, if people want to watch it, they can. But maybe like if there's topics, some people might want to skip forward to things. I know that, and it kind of helps the viewer.
Yeah, I need to do that. I need to chapter it out. I can do that because I spend so I'm the sole guy that does the social media.
No, that is not true.
Yeah, it is because you can't spell. You spell like a 4-year-old. Yeah, you capitalize nouns that aren't proper in the middle of a sentence. Yeah, you should be ashamed of yourself. God dang you, dude. But yeah.
Jared didn't judge me for it, so why is my co-host?
Bro, I looked at that thing you sent Victor Griffin, and I was like, no wonder they didn't respond to you. You put podcast with a capital P in the middle of a sentence, and you put a space before the period at the end of the sentence too. I was like,
oh, good Jesus, just leave me alone about it.
I'm not gonna. He's in a hurry, but I'll chapter this one out and render it better. It's snowing outside, but yeah, I'll render it all out and chapter it and send it to you and give you the ability to like pick which pieces you want.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for being on, and Ken, you're gonna end this, right?
Yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.